Hard working every day, not a lazy mom, got no time to play. Always on the go, you stuck on the flow, but it's time for the show.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Not for Lazy Moms. I'm actually feeling pretty energized today because Chase slept and he slept well. What's up, Allie? How you doing today?
You know, I'm feeling good too. I feel like it's always a good morning when you don't have to heat up your coffee 1,000 times in the microwave. And I was actually able to enjoy a full hot cup this morning. Wow. So I'm feeling good.
That is amazing, and I'm loving your fresh blowout. It looks good. You really do look refreshed. You look like, you gave me a break for once.
Yeah.
How you feeling, baby?
I'm feeling pretty good. I actually got up at 5:30 this morning, worked out for an hour, so I'm feeling great.
He did. Chase has been having some issues with the season changing. So he's been having a little allergies. I guess his nose has been very stuffy at night. And with my new oils, Mila Eve Essentials, I actually whipped up a little concoction. I like to make my own nasal spray. So I use Celtic sea salt. I boil some hot water, and then I use a few drops of like rosemary, frankincense, and I add it into the salt mixture, and then I heavily dilute it. And I have these little bottles that I bought on Amazon that are for the nose spray. He woke up at 1:00 this morning, completely stuffed. I sprayed one pump in each side of his nose. He was out in 5 minutes, slept until 8:00 this morning, completely clear. So it worked.
Wow.
Yes, I'm so excited. You can hear my energy level right now. I slept very well.
It's really amazing what one night of sleep that our kids give us, like, just does for us, you know, and then they'll screw it up tonight, but it's fine.
Right. Oh my God. I'm so grateful right now. Listen, and I'm really excited about the topic we're going to talk about today, which is perfectly imperfect. This is such a topic for me because I'm not perfect, but I'm a perfectionist, and sometimes that can get confused. But I will say some of my discussion points that I want to go over today are living your best life is already challenging. But during this selfie age, do you feel that it adds to the challenge? How do we separate what we see on social media versus what really happens in life behind closed doors? From perfect pictures, perfect bodies, perfect relationships, and perfect parenting. What happens when we remove the filters? Are we truly happy with ourselves? How do we separate the facade of social media life versus real life? And most importantly, how do we protect our children from so much fakery? I mean, this topic is going to be loaded. I think it's very necessary that we talk about this because it's an issue. I mean, what are your thoughts? Chris is not really a social media person, which is fine. I never was until I joined the Real Housewives of Potomac. The only thing that we had was Facebook. And that was only because of our wedding to keep our guests up to speed. And then once we got pregnant with Christopher, it was like, I'm stuck in Alabama with Chris with nobody. So it was my only way of communicating with my family. I did not have an Instagram or Twitter until I joined the show because it was a part of the package. I had to maintain social media. So now it's more like business, but then I also do enjoy engaging with people who follow and hearing their feedback about the episodes and just life in general. So
for me, I tell you, just dealing with social media, I don't really care for it. I think, people air too much of their business on social media. They're obsessed with it. But it's funny that I say that. I'm on reality TV, so everybody kind of, looks at our life, we're an open book. But I'm just not a big fan of it. I see people posting too much, whether they were sick the day before or this happened or that happened. It's just like way too much. For me, I just kind of, tend to my own business. I watch football on TV, tend to my family, and that's pretty much it. But I will, I'm sorry, Alec, for cutting you off, but I will say this is a great topic because, just dealing with kids, my kids are growing up in this age and, right now they're not on social media as far as, being active and stuff like that, but eventually they will be. So we definitely have to program them and let them know what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, stuff like that, and kind of have them ready for, what they're about to be facing.
I will say that you guys, in particular, you know, you are in the spotlight, and I feel like I'm sure there's more added pressure to present yourself a certain way on social media. And I got to give you credit, because to me, you've always been so authentic and real. And, you know, you show when Chase is on your lap, not letting you work, or when your kids are acting up and you're trying to have this nice family dinner. So I appreciate that, because I do think there's a lot of pressure with social media to present yourself a certain way, to present perfection. And that's not the reality. And I do think one of the things about quarantine that has been positive is that it kind of threw us for a loop, and that we were all going through it together. So people that are posting perfect pictures, I mean, you just know that's BS, because you know that it is hard. I'm trying not to curse right now. Going through this. So, you know, showcasing what it's really like working from home with your kids doing virtual school, or on a Zoom meeting when your kid has recess online. Like, it's a cluster right now. So I think it's easier to kind of see the fake these days on social media versus what's real.
Yes, absolutely. And I use my social media as a way to let people have a little insight of what it is like in our real life. You know, I don't have I don't do photo shoots for the gram. Like, I don't, like people say, do it for the gram. I just don't. If I am so, you know, dressed up, or, you know, if I just did some press, and I'll take a picture and I'll post it that way. But I don't do it like specifically for Instagram. I do it just because, oh, here's what I did today. Here's my picture of me. But then I also post real life pictures of me and my kids and my husband. I sometimes have my little do-rag on my head, my scarf tied up, bunned up, whatever. It doesn't matter. I feel like people should see all aspects of who you are, so that they can also feel like, oh, okay, they're just like me. They're normal people just like me. And it's an opportunity for me to let people see who I am outside of what they see, in my particular case, on the show. So when it comes to the kids, I do have Instagram accounts for all of my kids and my parrots, which I maintain. But I'm very particular about what I post. At one point, their accounts were open. Now they're private. Because you have some really creepy people out there who I do not want looking at my kids' pictures. And then I do make sure that their pictures are appropriate. You know, they're fully clothed. Chase, I got locked out of his Instagram account because I can't remember which email address I used to start his account. So it's telling me to like change his password, and I've not been able to. I need to reach out to Instagram and get on that. But I need to change his over to private as well. So his is the only one that I haven't been able to yet. But I do try to explain to my kids, even when they know I'm doing videos for Insta Story, you know, certain things, when they think it's funny, I'm like, that's not cute for social media. You know, that's not something that you want to show on social media. Like, my kids love running around the house naked, but I'm like, listen, if I'm recording you and I'm telling you that I'm gonna put this on Instagram, don't flash me. So it's like teaching them, even at a young age, what's appropriate and what's not. Reinforcing that even when we go out into public, you know, you don't speak that way in public. Nobody wants to hear about how you farted 5 times in a row in public. Some people don't think that's funny. When we're at home, it's hilarious. You know, it's like, oh, who did that? And I'll tell my son, my oldest son, that smells awful. He'll say, thank you. I'm so proud of his stinking mind.
Smell like a grown man.
Yes. Oh my God. I think that a real big issue when it comes to this selfie age is body imagery. I feel like people are posting pictures where they're like snatching their waistline in, and they're, you know, emphasizing the waist like it's super small. Then when you see them in person, you're like, wait, who's that?
It's like catfish, right?
I'm telling you, it's like dating catfish.
Yes. Or I went down this like long rabbit hole of Googling, like, is there this plastic surgery where it makes your waist like literally 1 inch, and then your hips, like, it was just, you know, it's that Kim Kardashian that I don't know. And then I keep seeing all these pictures that I just was so confused. I'm like, is this real?
Oh my God. It's definitely some type of tuning effect where they snatch the waist. I don't even know how to use, I think it's called Facetune or something. If I want to have like a smooth, soft, you know, something like clean image. I'll use what is it called? Microsoft Selfie, but it's just one touch and go. I don't know how to do all of that, like snatching your nose, snatching your lip. Anybody got time for that? Like, honestly, and I don't want people, when I meet people outside my home and they're just like, oh, you don't look like what you do on social media. No, I prefer them to say, oh, wow, you look better in person. You know, like, I'm just saying, like, I don't want to look completely different. My body is what it is. I am shaped like a 12-year-old boy at times. When I'm not pregnant, I just go right back to this like straight and narrow body. And I hate it personally. But then you have people who will see me and say, oh my God, what did you do to get your body like that? And I'm looking at their curves and said, you know, saying to them, how can I get that butt? How can I get those hips? Outside of being pregnant, I'm done having kids. I don't want to get knocked up again to gain weight. But that's the only time I potentially, you know, gain some significant weight. So I don't know. What do you think?
I like the way you look. So,
oh, well, of course you do.
So
Thank you.
It doesn't matter to me. But no, I just think we put too much pressure on ourselves, you know, trying to look perfect, trying to look like the people on TV, which a lot of those people have a lot of work done on themselves, and which is unhealthy in the end. So, you know, I think that people get too wrapped up in it, and it's not good. And also the kids are growing up looking at this stuff, and, you know, they're raised in it. So eventually they're going to start doing certain things to their bodies and stuff like that, trying to actually look like what the filter really makes you look like after you present it.
Yes.
That's dangerous.
Absolutely. I see a lot of young people that appear to be having plastic surgery, like very young. I got my boobs done a few months before I got married, you know, because I just felt like they would look great in my wedding dress. And also that was something that I wanted to do like all my life for me, not for other people. That was something I wanted for me.
And I was totally against it.
He was.
I was like, I like you the way you are. You're perfect. But I kind of like it a little bit better now.
This is the best investment ever right here. I don't spend a bunch of money on clothes. I spend them on boobs and travel.
Just go overboard and, you know, get obsessed with it. And, you know, before you know it, in 3 years, you've had 20 surgeries. You know, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I actually took Chris with me to get the consultation. And once the doctor kind of broke everything down and we're trying different boob sizes on, he went from, no, I don't believe in this, I'm against it, to, I think you should get the bigger ones. Yeah. What about you, Allie? Yeah.
I mean, first off, I hear you. I feel like we look in the mirror and we don't see what others see. And, you know, we only see, oh my gosh, look at my armpit fat, or, oh my, you know, my neck looks too like wrinkly. Like, we just see these little imperfections.
Some people might want to get their necks checked. I'm just saying. Some people's necks are a little too wrinkled. So you need to start swallowing more or do something to exercise that neck.
Do they have like Kegels, but for your neck or something? What's it?
Neck Kegels. Do some neck Kegels. That neck ain't getting a good enough workout, so it's starting to collapse and give up.
But you know what's funny? Like hearing Chris, like, you know, say how beautiful you are, which of course, you know, is true. You know, just the other morning, I wanted to go upstairs to straighten my hair before we were starting our day, you know, and Matt, my husband, and my son, Sam, who's, you know, almost 5, they're like, we think you look beautiful. And I go upstairs and I'm like, okay, you know what? That's just obnoxious because I clearly look ridiculous right now. But, you know, you are always, I feel like, a role model for your kid, which is, you know, a lot of pressure too. But you want to, you know, I felt almost bad changing how I, you know, actually straightening my hair in that moment because my son, not for, you know, for my husband, whatever, but for my son, I wanted to accept that he saw that as beauty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But really I did look like a hot mess. So I ended up fixing it anyways.
But you know what I love is that I do wonder for the children whose parents do way too much for social media and they're so obsessed over how they look to the point where I wonder if it does put pressure on the child. Like you said, you're the child's example. And I think it's great that your children can look at you in your natural state and see that as beauty. And then why are my notifications on my laptop? This is so annoying. I don't know if you can hear it, but it keeps.
I can hear it. Yeah.
Every time I get an email, and I get an email like every 5 seconds, and I don't even know how to turn this off. So I apologize to y'all right now. But yes, I feel as though that alone can put a lot of pressure on a child because they're watching you. You're the greatest example. So for my kids, they see me most of the day. I'm not walking around looking like this. I don't have, my hair down. I literally have my hair wrapped up. Allie actually saw me earlier. I was like, clearly I'm not ready, as I was trying to run upstairs to get done, but I was still in pajamas. Like I had to go get freshened up and, get myself together. But I actually like when I do get myself together and my kids notice and they're like, oh, mommy, where are you going? Mm-hmm. So clearly they can see the difference. They know that, hey, this is what mommy looks like on the normal. And, oh, when mommy goes out the house, she gets herself together. I think that's setting a good example of just being you. But then also when you leave the house, knowing how to make yourself look.
Yes. Beautiful. I think that you hit the nail on the head. Like there is a balance. You're not saying put 5 filters on your face when you take a picture, which some of these filters that people post and they're like, just hanging out. And it's like, okay, that looks ridiculous. Yes. But, there is a balance of, now my son is very into brushing his hair and putting hair gel in it and wearing button downs. And that's him. Like he wants to look presentable and he wants to feel good. It's all about you feeling good in your own skin, feeling comfortable, whatever that means to you, whether, it means to, dress a certain way to leave the house or, get something done, whether it be your boobs or whatever. I want to get mine done. So I'm all about that. I feel like at the end of the day, it's about you, not for anybody else.
Yes. No, I totally agree. And like Chris, sometimes he's a little bit too lax with the getting ready. And I'm going to be honest, when we're home at times, I'm like, babe, because he's lost so much weight. I'm like, dude, why are you walking around with this shirt that looks like a freaking drape? Like, I want to see you look good. But then when we leave the house, then it totally throws me off because then I'm looking at, whoa, you really lost a lot of weight, as if I don't see him every day. But it's because I feel like he's covering himself up. I'm like, dude, like, hello.
Actually, I went to the Big and Tall the other day and I wanted to get some new clothes, but I didn't like anything that they had. So everything that I have at home is pretty much big and baggy. I've dropped probably 25 pounds. So, I'm looking for new clothes, but it's hard. I only really have one store to shop at. That's the Big and Tall in Tyson's, and that's it.
Well, anybody who's out there listening, if you know a stylist for Big and Tall men, please send us an email to info@notforlazymoms.com. I am so serious because
and we take free stuff too. So.
It is a struggle for him. I will definitely acknowledge that. When it comes to his tailored suits, he's good. He has somebody that makes his suits and his dress shirts. But when it comes to just everyday outfits, I will definitely agree. It is hard for him to find things that can fit him. The selection is very limited. So,
you know what? I got to be honest, Chris, I'm short and small. So like I have problems too. I'm like one step away from shopping in the kids section. So
do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. So one other issue that I do notice is communication. So many people would rather slide into DMs when they're flirting and in that dating scene. I hear it from my friends all the time. And then they'll go out on a date and then there's nothing to talk about. They realize that the person who they're on the date with has no personality. They can text a good game. They could post a good read or whatever it is. But when they're actually having a conversation, it's almost like people have forgotten how to talk to each other face to face.
Yes. But I will say because of that, because of how comfortable people are hiding behind their computers and, being so open, via text or DM, I really do think that if you go on, because I did the online dating thing before I met my husband, and I do think that you have to give the benefit of the doubt the first date and kind of realize it is awkward. You are used to hiding behind the computer and you do feel a little more confident that way. So maybe don't write them off unless it is so horrible and there are so many red flags, then I get it. But maybe give it a little more time before you're like, nope, it was awkward, done.
Right.
No, but it's crazy to me though, because if you're already communicating with this person for a while, over social media or whatever, you kind of get to know them already. So it seems like once you meet them in person, you really should be, off and running because you already got familiar with them. But I get it. A lot of people don't work that way. I remember when I worked for Coach Saban back at the University of Alabama, and he was upset about how, the young kids are so wrapped up into social media. He said, people don't know how to talk to, each other anymore. They can't even ask a person out on a date because, everything's, by social media nowadays.
I mean, I think of it like, with quarantine, not seeing friends face to face, not seeing family face to face, and then finally seeing them. And even though we were texting every day, once I saw them in person, I didn't know how to be social and really have a conversation. It takes a little bit of time for some people to warm up. I know even when it comes to making mom friends, I'll text, my son's friends' moms, a little bit first. And then when we hang out, it kind of is like dating. It's like a little awkward at first in person.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I think even for me, I'm terrible at making mom friends because I'm just not very trusting of people anymore. Being on this show and on this platform with the Real Housewives of Potomac, it has put me into a sort of bubble, to the extent where I'm only comfortable with people who I've known. And even to that extent, some not even, when you've had enough people that you've known for a long time betray you and see things that they feel as though is a come up so that they can be famous. And people who are listening, who watch the show know exactly what I'm talking about. It really sucks. And it just kind of makes you shell up and you're not very open. So sometimes I'll engage in conversation and then all of a sudden I just fall off because I'm just like, why is this person really texting me? Why do they really want to get to know you? Why do they want to be around my kids? Like, what's your deal? Now I'm so skeptical of people and what their and if they're what their motives are and if they're being genuine. So, it does really suck. So I'm more comfortable with the communication online or over text than when we get in person, because I'm just like, why are you here for real? I'm side-eyeing the whole time. And then I'm really protecting my kids because I don't need my kids being exposed to this world that I signed up for. So they're always at the top of my priority list when it comes to engaging with people. So I totally get that. I wonder, when it comes to creating an environment for ourselves and our kids, what are some of the things that we can do to make sure that we're not living in this selfie age and it's affecting us to the point where it messes with our mental stability or our own self-image and our self-esteem? And how do we make sure that not only our confidence is boosted in where it should be, but also our children?
I think, from a children's standpoint, you always have to talk to them and, let them know what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. You always encourage them, you always tell them that, no matter what, you're beautiful inside, but, it's more important to be beautiful inside than outside.
Mm-hmm.
You compliment them regularly, let them express themselves. So you always reassure them, that they're beautiful, they're good people, and don't get so wrapped up into social media, worried about what people think about them.
Exactly. I agree.
And I think, putting the phone down and not being on social media when you're around your kids. Yes, if you want to take pictures and videos and post it on stories, totally fine. But lately what I've been doing is I've just been taking videos and pictures and then I'll post them later on stories, just because I don't want my kids, I don't know. I feel like I need to live more in the moment and not scroll to see what somebody tweeted 2 seconds ago, because my, year-and-a-half-year-old.
First of all, he's over here pointing at me like he even knows what I do on my phone.
She's working a lot of times. I get
Chris
that.
does not even know how to work social media that great. So you can't ever.
I know how to scroll through the pictures.
You can't ever tell me about what I'm doing.
No, at one time, I am going to tell on this. At one time, we would be at dinner. It was back in the day. She's much better now. I'll give you credit. But it would be like, we're at dinner and, I'm wanting to talk and she's looking at her phone the whole time. So that used to frustrate me. So now
he assumes because I'm looking at my phone that I'm on social media.
Put the phone down and let's talk.
Right. But he assumes that when I'm on my phone that I'm on social media. So what I have to do now, thanks to Chris, is when my kids are talking to me and they're like, Mommy, put the phone down. Mommy, I will show them what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm checking these emails, updating my calendar. I'm sending these responses back. that's what I'm doing. Let me finish this. And then you'll have my full undivided attention, because I'm not just scrolling to see what other people are saying on feeds. Most of the time when I do post, I'm checking to see what comments I got on my post. I'm checking to see.
But you're still dealing with social media.
Right. But it's not just social media. It's also checking emails. It's also
it's different for you, Monique, because like social media is a lot of part of your brand and you, and so that's hard because it does go hand in hand.
Right.
I'm a part of that brand too.
The engagement is very you have to engage in order to build the following.
Yes.
And a true following, you must really be in tune with the followers that you have and communicate with them. So it's like creating a relationship. I look at each follower as thank you for believing in my brand and believing in me. And I don't just look at them as numbers. I look at them as people who I can put something out there, hopefully that will help them or be some type of benefit to them. So I'm very particular about what I post on my page, so I try to do my best to be responsible in my posting. And I do have sometimes where I might repost something, not fully reading what I just reposted. And then my followers will check me and say, hey, you might want to read that whole article, because that's not a good look if you're reposting something and you don't really understand what was all a part of that. And I take all of that into account, and I'll either delete or I'll clarify why I posted or what I liked from that post or what have you. So those are the type of engagements that I'm always looking after. But like I said, when my phone's in my hand, it's not always just social media. I do so much from my phone. Thank God for smartphones these days. Most of the time I'm checking email. Like the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, I have right now 3,701 emails that I have not even opened yet in one email account. The other one has 197. I have 127 text messages that I still haven't opened. So my phone is constantly blowing up, and I try to do my best to stay on top of messages that are incoming and outgoing, because you don't want to miss out on an opportunity,
Yeah, I do want to touch on something that you said that I think is important with social media, especially in this current climate. And that's like somebody tweeting back to you, well, you didn't read the whole article or whatever. There's just so much fighting on social media these days that I feel like for our mental health, it's good to have certain times a day where we just put the phone down. We don't go on Twitter. We don't go on Facebook, go on Instagram, because I've even found myself, I've never been that person to comment on a post or whatever, that's a controversial post. But lately I've found myself doing that. And I'm like, okay, this is not good for my mental health, that somebody else, what they're posting is affecting my day. That's not okay.
I don't get people who will go onto a page of a person who they don't like, and then they'll just post a bunch of nastiness. For me, I'll just keep scrolling if I don't like the post, and lately I have been doing what I call social media fasting, which has been great, especially given with the show this past season. There has been a lot of controversy, and also knowing that a lot of what, the viewers are seeing has been well over a year old. So I've moved past a certain place than what they're viewing on the screen. So there has to be a way to disconnect from knowing that, hey, I know what the end looks like and you don't. So let me just not even post. I'm not going to limit my comments. I'm not going to delete comments. I'm not going to block a bunch of people. Talk and say whatever it is that you want to say. And then later on, we'll see if you're still saying the same thing. And if you are, that's fine. But I don't have to engage, and I don't have to respond. I don't have to look at social media if I don't want to. If I feel as though it is affecting my mental space, I'll just put it down. And I think that's the hard thing. People are becoming so addicted to social media that they don't know how to just let it sit there and walk away.
Yeah. And people are just fighting about everything. I'm in this Facebook mom group for Bethesda, Potomac, Maryland area. And I kid you not, there was a very heated fight over whether or not you should clean your kid's car seat. I'm not kidding. The things that were said, and I was having my popcorn, reading away, sitting back, wow, this is some entertainment.
The funny thing about it is you should clean the car seat because it can get really nasty. So that should be common sense. For people to fight over that, that's just a lazy mom somewhere.
they're justifying why they're nasty.
That's right.
And they're taking offense to it, I guess. That is funny.
You know, one quick point to what Monique was saying as far as, kind of, you read through stuff or you might not read it, you take a break. I remember when I played with the Redskins and we had some terrible seasons. I wasn't playing well. The whole team wasn't playing well. And one thing that I did to detox, I wouldn't watch the news because I knew if I watched the news, the sports section of the news, they were going to bash us. So why sit around and watch that and depress myself, So
talk about
I had to get away from it.
Talk about all his holding penalties.
Yeah, so I would just go out and party and have a good time and don't worry about it.
I never get mad at them for going out and partying. Right. And I used to get so frustrated. I think I was more frustrated than Chris. Because I'm like, how many people go to work 9 to 5, have a bad day, and then they go to the bar, have a cocktail, and enjoy themselves? Right. So just because these guys are on TV playing a professional sport, they had a bad game. Does that mean they're supposed to go home and punish themselves and ground themselves and stay in the house? Why can't they go out and have a good time and then get themselves ready for the week like anybody else does?
Yeah, we're human too. Sometimes.
Right. They irritate me. Yeah. Oh my God. So what do you think about cancel culture? OMG. On social media, cancel culture is at an all-time high. It is like to the point where it's kind of getting annoying because people will give these fake apologies just so they won't be attacked by the people who will quote unquote cancel them. And for me, now we're going into a whole nother area of being disingenuous. Like, I'm like, come on, I want some realness.
Authenticity.
Yes. If you really feel bad, if you really feel like you need to offer an apology or do whatever, do it because you really feel it. Don't do it because of pressure. Like don't, and I just don't like, just own your crap. Like if you really are like feeling some type of way about what you said and you really believe in that, then say that. Like, don't go apologizing because you got a bunch of trolls trying to force you into an apology. And I've experienced that with the whole situation with me with the show, with the fight. You're not going to tell me when I should feel remorse, and you're not going to tell me when I should apologize. Nobody's going to do that. Only I can feel that, and I'll do that when I'm ready to do it. Because otherwise, if you do it too fast, and people are like, oh, you being fake. Oh, you didn't really mean it. Oh, you only did it because of this. So err on the side of caution. Do it when you feel as though you're ready to, and then you move, and then you just accept whatever, feedback people have if you care,
You are much, first off, I don't know if I've been wanting to say this to you is that, when you were going through everything and you were like, I just don't know how I feel right now. I'm still trying to figure it out. I mean, that's the most real answer that you can have. And that would make sense to anybody. Like when people are going through something and they're still trying to process it and still trying to develop a reaction because they're living in it. I mean, that's authenticity. That's being honest and real. So you're right. Some BS apology just means nothing. You're so much more respected when you're owning it and when you're acknowledging the process and your feelings about it. Yeah. I'm with you. The cancel culture. Yes, it is. It's just
and that situation where Monique went through, it definitely showed how strong she was because ever since I've known Monique, she's been strong. She speaks her mind. She's going to do what she want to do. And, she'll compromise when she needs to. But, I admired that whole strength in her at that moment being attacked by several different people and people coming down on her. And she still stood her ground and was just totally honest. I don't feel anything right now. I don't feel remorse. And, once she, feels it, then she's going to express that. And, people need to understand that and they need to relate to that. They need to drop down from being an attack dog to really relating to that. That's realness. And there's still people out there.
Yeah. And it makes your apology and the remorse, it makes the remorse so much more, compelling because you know that you can feel it with that person. Right. Because you saw them go through the process of navigating it and kind of dealing with it all. So yeah, definitely.
Yes. And just tying it all back to just social media in general, process. That's what's missing on social media. You only see the before and then you see the after, but you don't see the process in between. And that is the most important part is how did you deal with that? Whoa, you were at a low and I see this picture of you at a low. And then I see fast forward a picture of you at this ultimate high. How did you navigate all of what you've been through? And I really think that that's a powerful testimony in itself. People need to understand that nothing just, you don't blink your eyes and bam, you just have this. There's a build up to something. And then there's a process after you have received whatever or dished out whatever to get to that end point. And so many people, when they rely on what they are seeing on social media, they forget that there is a process. They think that they can turn it on and turn it off. And that is what creates mental issues. That's when people feel like, wait, but I see other people turning it on and turning it off, and it's not working for me. That's because that's not what's really happening. That's not what's really going on. You have to go through process in order to get to a point of growth. And then when you see the growth, you have more of an understanding. And then you realize like, whoa, they went through all of that to get to this point. I can appreciate that. I can admire that because I'm human and I've done that too, or I've experienced growth in that same way as well. Yes. So yeah.
So maybe people need to document the growth, whether it's counseling or whatever it may be.
That would be nice. That would be amazing. And also just like Ali was saying with just posting real stuff. I love when I see those memes where it has like Instagram versus reality, and it'll be like this great, perfect picture. And then it'll show you like what's really going on. I actually love that. One of my favorite pictures of me and my family is after we had Chase, everybody was just looking all over the place. I'm looking at the baby. Chris is laughing, looking down. Milani's got her face all bunched up because she was ready to be done. And Christopher was just looking like, I am over this. And it's literally one of my favorite pictures because it really captured what really was going on to get to that perfect picture. And to me, that means more than getting to the perfect picture, you know? So yeah, I just feel like people should just feel comfortable to be more real. Let your guard down. You'd be surprised how many more people can relate to you versus those perfect pictures that people post trying to get all those likes and all those comments.
Definitely. Now, I know you said that because like Christopher, at what age, do kids want to have control of their own social media? And I know that there are apps for kids as well that they can use to kind of almost like a kid version of Instagram or something.
I don't know. And I don't want my kids ever to find that out.
I think it's all about the maturity level of the kid. If it's the 8th grade, you turn them loose with it. It's all about, how they relate to certain things, their maturity level, understanding, protecting themselves, privacy, stuff like that. If one kid's way more mature, then you might turn them loose a little bit earlier. But if they're not, then you hold them off a little bit.
Well, and I found a couple tips for like parents whose kids, are wanting to be on social media.
Yeah, before you do that, I just wanted to say one thing. My kids are young. I feel like these are those fundamental years that you have to take advantage of, instilling so much into them so that it stays with them, so that when their when their friends are trying to force them or peer pressure them into posting something inappropriate or engaging in an activity that is inappropriate, right now is the time where we're instilling that in them. So my prayer is that everything that I'm teaching them right now about being appropriate and what the backlash could be, and even using myself as an example with being on reality TV and letting them see some of my mistakes and understanding how I got through it. I'm hoping that will be what will guide them when they get a little bit older and now they have their own social media accounts. But I do know that they have like parental checks and balances that you can do to monitor your kids' accounts, which I will definitely be doing. But I just want my kids to know that how you act in real life, on social media, all of those things need to connect. And you need to make sure that you're not putting yourself in a position to be, making yourself look like crazy, getting caught out there and affecting your entire life. You have way too many kids out there right now who are thinking that suicide is a better answer because of pressure that they're receiving over a bad post, so we have to do that work now.
Absolutely. I mean, very, very well said. I totally agree. And by the way, when it comes to you posting pictures of, especially like Milani and Christopher, because they're older, Sam's at the age where he's like, don't take a picture of me. And I think that when your kid says that, like, you respect it. Leave them alone. Exactly. Don't force them to take any picture.
I had a person actually comment on one of my pictures when I posted T'Challa, and they were like, oh, you don't even post your kids anymore. well, my kids are older. This is the only person pet in the house that will allow me to take pictures and not complain about it. So T'Challa loves taking pictures. He will sit there and pose. He sees when I put the camera up, he'll give you a little side eye. That was hilarious. Shades, he'll let me post him a lot. When I was posting my kids a lot, they were younger. They're older now. They don't want to take pictures all the time like they used to. And I'm fine with that. So that is a great point. And that's also the reason why I don't post as much of my kids, because they're just not feeling it. And when they are, and they're like, Mommy, take a picture of me. Okay, cool. I don't put that pressure on them. I don't force them.
Yep, absolutely. And you know, when you talk about like instilling that confidence and just that knowledge about social media in general, like, you know, as they get older, making sure they know, hey, don't post something that you don't want your grandma to see, or your boss, your future boss to see, or your teachers to see. I mean, you need to be careful about the kind of content you're posting. Because, right, when I was in college, that's when Facebook first came out. So I jumped on it. I was so excited about it. But like this generation, they're growing up with TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram, and it is all just like everywhere. So you have to be careful about what you are putting out there.
No, you're definitely right on that, because, you know, when I worked at the University of Alabama, we would have a social media person to come in and talk to the guys about just being responsible of what they put on there, because, you know, a lot of these kids, they want to get drafted to the NFL. And if you put something on there, whether it's marijuana or, you know, drugs or alcohol or something, you know, inappropriate, what's the first thing the NFL is going to check? They're going to go to your social media, because it tells everything about you. And if they spot something on there, you might be a top 10 pick, supposed to make $50 million on your first contract, but you might slide to a 4th round pick, and now you're only making $4 or $5 million. So you need to be responsible and be thoughtful of that. Keep that in your mind.
Absolutely. Allie, you want to go ahead and give us some tips as we close out today?
Yeah.
This was what?
Oh, no, one thing I want to say too, just security purposes with social media.
Yes.
Don't post everywhere that you're going, because a lot of times the criminals are watching. And if you're on vacation, they know your house is vacant. So, you know, people will take advantage of that. And also too, you know, just for your safety alone, you know, you might want to post that stuff after you get back, you know, so you need to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, we actually started doing a lot of that, just like taking whatever pictures and video that we want. And then when we get back from vacation, that's when we go ahead and post. And also it's nice because you're enjoying your vacation while you're on it, versus like trying to keep up with what's going on social media. I used to be that person. So that's why Chris is over here smiling, cheesing, cackling.
Much better now.
But I will let people know, for those robbers out there who think they might know my house is vacant, it's always full. And I got my outdoor cameras working. Thanks to Bravo putting me on blast when my cameras weren't working outside. So my cameras inside, outside, all the way around the whole perimeter are working. And this security system is always on. And everything is armed. Yeah.
Well, we talked about two of the things already, just like the privacy settings and the fact, you know, don't put anything up there that you wouldn't want a future boss or your grandma to see. And then one of the tips I thought was interesting and a good idea was to put limits on, you know, maybe no phone in the bedroom or no laptop in the bedroom. Keep everything in public spaces. So when it comes to screen time, you kind of, it's in, you know, the family room or the kitchen. So you know where things are being done.
Yes, absolutely. Even with my kids, because sometimes they like to watch YouTube and I want to hear what's being said. I want to monitor what they're watching, because sometimes they have these weird commercials that are supposed to be for kids and it's like adult content, or it's like a song that comes on that's very raunchy. And I'll immediately tell them like, what are you watching? What is that? Let's go ahead and find something else. And my kids, sometimes they'll even come to me and say, Mommy, something really weird popped up on my screen.
That's one thing I'm proud of too, because at one while they used to sneak and try to watch the stuff, and then we would catch them and we would talk to them and not come down on them too hard, but we might have to punish.
Because Christopher couldn't go on YouTube for a year.
Oh yeah, you're right. I guess I meant from a yelling standpoint.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, it was for, you know, basically we would take the stuff and punish them. and hold it from them. But at the end of the day, now they run to us, daddy, something's inappropriate, you know, and I'll look at it. Sometimes it's not even that bad, but I tell them, like, I'm proud of you for stepping up. That's very mature. You're being responsible. You know, you can always be honest with daddy and mommy, stuff like that. So they're really good about, you know, and then they'll tell on each other as well. So it's a good thing.
Yes, they are, because they know that they can get that whole year.
That's right.
We ain't playing. The whole year. No YouTube. Yes. But no, this was such a great topic. I hope that people were able to really take something from this and maybe have some tips as they're raising children, or even tips for yourself. I definitely want to give a moment of silence to those who are truly loving and embracing themselves, and to the people who realize that everybody has at least one thing that they wish they can change on their body. Moment of silence, done. Thank y'all so much. I think we gave a lot of confessions while we were doing the entire episode. This was great. We'll see y'all next week. Make sure that you follow us on all of our social media. If you're going to be on social media, make sure you're following Not for Lazy Moms. Visit our website, www.notforlazymoms.com. Check out our store. If you're trying to potty train, make sure you check out our book. Everything is there, and we thank you as always, and we will see you next week. Take care.